I, as a result of finishing off Elden Ring, have started the next game, Dead Space. Man,
So I said something last week to you that was secretly a gauge of how much you knew about Dead Space, and the answer was you didn't know shit about Dead Space, which is kind of exciting because I said to you, get ready to play as the character with the heaviest boots in the world.
uh huh.
And then I look at clips people are sending me, and you have discovered that Isaac, it does in fact have the
Oh,
heaviest fucking boots in the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, this game, I remember it came out in an era when getting headshots was the goal of every video game.
Yeah.
So here they're telling you like 8 times aggressively, hit the
It's
fucking
funny.
limbs. Hit the
It's like
fucking limbs.
like it becomes a joke. You find a goddamn gun on top of a bloody corpse, blood on the wall, cut off their limbs, and then you hear two different
Mm-hmm.
radio transmissions that
Mm-hmm.
tell you to cut the limbs off.
No, that's playtesting at work right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is people shooting things in the head and not knowing why they're not dying.
That's instinctually expected. But um anyway, but like with that, there's also me going, well, I don't know what else is different here. So until I know the rules, I'ma just stomp everything in the nuts super hard. And that stomp is incredibly strong and satisfying. So that goes well with my game plan. Um,
It's not it like it's strong. It's as strong as a gunshot if you can get it. It has this gigantic hitbox. The hitbox is like your whole character's width, and it's super loud. And the crunch, there's a crunch noise specific
yes.
to the boot.
Yes.
It's super loud.
But the wildest and funniest, most dated thing is the fact that when you then see a regular human die and like she passes away in front of you and now it's just like a ragdolled body and you use it and then they just come apart like a fucking uh Mr. Potato Head, you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
just like they everything just shoots off of them, and I haven't seen that level of cartoonish dismemberment since 300 on the PSP. You know?
Listen, Wooly, those necromorphs, they used to be people too.
Right, right. Um, that game wastes no time just getting right into it. It you
Oh yeah.
does a little horror intro, starts you out, gives you the saw, go cut, and then you're immediately in just what might take 20 to 30 minutes of build up in any other games perhaps, you know. They're just like, "Nah, you're in space horror, go." Like we're going right to it. Everything is unbalanced in the audio. There's codec calls that come in way louder than anything else happening in the game, even when you turn the
That's right.
volume down. Fucking ridiculous. Like um the bloom in the intro is blinding you as you pull up to
Oh yeah.
the station.
We're both doing this thing right now that was inspired by you going through Halo and Arkham, and then I hopped on the idea as well. Like, hey, 2005 to 2010,
Yo.
man, games were weird back then.
That era, man. But I gotta say, it's I'm playing it as a 360 classic on my Xbone One, XX rather,
Yeah.
and it holds up, man. It looks good. It does.
Oh, it looks it was like absolute bleeding edge at the time.
It
I'm not
still looks
shocked that it holds up.
fantastic. The uh yeah, the areas where you do the spacewalking and stuff like that, that's pretty cool. I didn't really know that was a gameplay element, but that's pretty cool with the zero G to it. And then your limited inventory game you're playing, reload discipline, all that shit, you know, like you're getting it hard mid aughts right away. I
Now
like it.
shoot that baby. Shoot and stomp that
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, exactly. Again, my main experience was Dead Space Extraction a million years ago. You
Yeah.
know,
The
what is
the
also
whole
fun.
game, it feels like Glenn Schofield's in your fucking ear going, "Did you fucking see Event Horizon?"
I
I
mean,
did.
I think I literally said the words. There's something like, oh, he cut off his tongue or his ears or whatever. And I think I said the words like, oh, we don't need ears where we're going. Like, it's so
Yeah,
absolutely Event Horizon. Um, the bit with the upgrading is of weapons is quite interesting too, because I expected those cores nodes to be a limited resource that was like, holy fuck, I found a node. And it's like, no, if you've got $10,000, you can cash one out at the store constantly. But I
it
hope what you're
makes
cashing out is something you're willing to sell.
it makes it very interesting because you get in these situations where you're like, if I sold every single health item in
Uh-huh.
my inventory, I could
Yeah.
totally get another node.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say that Osmosis has also, if while it's my first time playing this game, it's affected like me, because right away, when I got my shit, I'm like, okay, you have now unlocked flamethrower, and I'm like, I'm not spending $11,000 on the fucking flamethrower, and I'm like, I don't even know what it looks like, but the two things I know about this game is the cutter is good all the way through. It's the X Buster. It just does the job, and the flamethrower is ass.
Um, so you're right. The flamethrower in Dead Space 1 is complete garbage. It is actively useless. And the plasma cutter in Dead Space 1 occupies a really incredibly specific point in space and time. A point in space and time and intent that it shares with its sister game, Mirror's Edge. Both games made by EA in the same time period, and both made as the passion project part of Riccatello's idea for EA. And that is, you think that maybe they actually wanted to make the game a certain way, but they had pushback on the team. So instead, they put it in as an achievement. So, Mirror's Edge, no guns. Dead
Mm-hmm.
Space 1, there's an achievement for, hey man, you want to beat the whole game with just the plasma cutter?
Ooh,
You
okay.
should do it.
Okay.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
as somebody who has done that run through, it's not even harder than a regular run.
Mm-hmm. And I
The
can see that.
gun is fucking incredible.
Using achievements to state your intentions. Interesting. I can absolutely see that, because the moment I learned how ammo worked, it was like, oh, absolutely. When you have four guns on you, you're picking up four types of ammo that are randomly generated as things drop or as you pick up items. If you've got
Yeah.
two, it's two types. Therefore, one type, one ammo, one gun. You know, if you just carry around one thing, you will always find what you need. So
And if you consistently upgrade the plasma cutter's damage and all of its stuff, you get into a situation where you're going through the whole game and one shot equals a cut
yeah,
every
I can
time.
imagine. Because I'm thinking about like Resident Evil games, and those are cases where the ammo types you find are specifically chosen, right? It's all
Yeah.
placed, set.
That you find, but not in RE4. Stuff that is dropped in RE4 follows the same logic.
Oh, what's on your case
It's
is
what do you got plus what are you missing?
um okay. So
And,
is it,
and then
and it's
it then it
evenly
feeds
divided?
into a randomizer.
Okay.
It's weighted by, like, if you have a ton of health items, you're not likely to get health items on drops. If you have a ton of a certain type of ammo, you're unlikely to
I
get that
see.
type of
I
ammo
see.
on
Okay.
drops.
Okay. 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 Yeah. I mean, in this case, I that system is like, it encourages you to stick with like two things you like, which that seems cool so far. I've been introduced to about four types of weapons. Um, the saw blade I fell in love with
The
immediately.
Ripper,
That thing is so cool. That is so fun to use.
the Ripper, aka the item hoarder's favorite weapon.
Oh man.
I want to cut the legs off of 6 guys with one shot. Excuse me.
Yeah, and now the big boot fuckers are coming out with their extra thick overalls. Like, oh yeah, really? That one space zombie just wore snow pants and like Tim's, like, and you're just gonna have a hard time cutting through that, huh? Are we, fucker? All right, fine. I guess we'll aim for the higher up limbs. But the
I
Ripper's
do
really good.
really love the in-universe explanation, which is these are not guns. These are power
Hardware
tools for
tools.
industrial mining. Now,
Hmm.
that being said, the plasma cutter being shaped like a pistol and firing off a very small beam, yeah, right, that's a goddamn industrial tool.
Dude,
If you,
fucking force push and pull and freeze are just tools of your rig suit that people
yeah,
are
well,
casually supposed to use for, yeah, construction purposes and not ruling the galaxy.
yeah, well, we gotta, we gotta lifting heavy stuff all day, so I got the telekinesis thing in my rig.
Like, that's the most ridiculous, like, buy-in to the universe so far is, like, god tier stand like powers for the most mundane activities, and no one's going to be abusing them then outside of
Well,
this context. Okay.
let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, as you go through Dead Space 1, you are going to absolutely appreciate your character's mechanical dexterity with his power tools because they throw a lot at you.
Mm.
It is it is absolutely Resident Evil 5 in air quotes in terms of release timing. It came out, I think, before RE5 and was absolutely like a better game as a Resident Evil game than RE5. It is a
Mm.
straight sequel from a different team to
That's why
RE4.
people called it RE5. Okay.
Yeah, because it came, yeah, and also like it came out a little bit before, but also I like it a lot better than RE5 because it doesn't have all the weird forced co-op stuff in it. And Dead Space 2 is a hell of a lot better than RE6.
I haven't had to think about the angle of my cut aim since Revengeance, so
Yeah.
that's also a moment of like, oh shit, right? Like, try to, which one do I want? Okay, you know what? This area I'm running into a lot of jumping spine ones. I'm gonna keep it vertical for now.
Let me ask you a quick question. What are the enemies that you have fought thus far?
All right, regular necromorphs,
Your
necromorphs,
slashers? Yeah, yeah.
regular necromorphs, the spine jumpers,
So your slashers and your crawlers.
the crawlers with no legs. Then again, level 2 and I suppose level 3 slashers with the bigger pants on.
Yeah, they got big pants.
Stop cutting our legs.
Hurt. Ow.
um, and then the bugs, which was a shock because I was like, oh shit, I guess I do need a gun. Because the bugs jumped me, and I'm like, the cuttering is not going to do anything here.
Oh, you mean the infectors, the ones that run around
They
and
hit.
fucking turn corpses?
Well, no. Like literally a swarm that jumps on you, and you mash A to throw them off of you, and then they die.
Oh, those little freaks.
Yeah. Little swarm. I fought the baby,
Yeah.
tentacle baby, and then the flyer winged thing
Yeah. Okay.
that jumps on the corpse.
There's the roster of enemies in that game is really good. There's 2 or 3 that are just like fucking thumbs up great enemies of all time standouts, but I don't think you've encountered any of them yet.
I also fought a tentacle that grabbed my feet.
Yeah, that tentacle cannot be defeated with the Ripper, which is what people were telling me happened.
Found that out real quick.
It's just not the distance on
The
it.
weak point is
happen.
not going to cut it unless you shoot it out with the alt fire, I suppose.
Yeah,
I got
that tentacle's just kind of around.
The alt fire is a cool thing, of course, for each of these power tools with alt fire, including a screen clear. Give me the lore reason for a screen clear on a line gun. Sure.
Sometimes you gotta bust some rocks apart.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah, you gotta bust the rocks and run out. Fair enough. I was hoping that they would also have angling rotation, but it's so far only the main plasma cutter does. You know?
That's why it's good. That's how they get away with having a default pistol that is just a good pistol, but it needs a gimmick. And the gimmick is that it's the one gun that you get to decide to go vertical or horizontal.
Huh. So they could have made that more of a repeating gameplay mechanic, but instead it's like, no, this is the weapon that does it.
Yeah, the line gun's really good at firing wide.
Right. And if I want to get it to cut a room full of, morphs, necromorph legs off, like, I'm going to have to spend a bunch of nodes to get there. So I don't think I'm going to keep that around. But
you can get that thing to go real wide. It goes like 8 feet at its final upgrade. It's great.
Now, I assume if you did use the gun and shoot at the limbs long enough, eventually one would fall off, right? Or not at all?
You're referring to
railgun, or what was?
Oh, you mean
rifle?
the fucking machine, like the rifle?
It's
the
a rifle.
rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the rifle's fine.
Okay.
The rifle's big is for weak points, like not cutting limbs, but like weak points, and it's got excellent range because it's not shooting a projectile like some of the other ones.
The alt fire is the dumbest, most insane thing I've ever seen. Once again, it is in a practical situation. When would a gun have an alt fire that is spin and shoot indiscriminately in 360 degrees?
Well, that's when you're fighting a bunch of space aliens and you want to kill them, and they're gonna crush you.
And your allies are not right behind you, so when you just hold it up and just start shooting and spraying, it's literal spray and pray, but it fires back behind the death range. Like, what the shit is that? It's insane. It's the least practical thing in the world. The pulse rifle, Death Blossom mode.
I would have actually really liked the pulse rifle to be in the game and have it just complete trash, because like everybody else with a gun gets fucking owned in like a second.
Yeah, just as a wooden shield in Bloodborne, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Because they get just annihilated. That game's so goddamn great. And Isaac doesn't talk, not a single time.
Yeah, and I didn't know that you saw his face right away either. Like, you see him, he's just a guy.
He had a face,
He's just silent, It's like, okay. While they're arguing and bickering, he's just like, whatever, I don't know. He's got music playing in his head.
I'm just a working man.
I mean, I don't know if, like, people have Freemanized him over the years. I assume they must have.
Haven't.
Okay.
One of the weirder things about Dead Space, and you're not getting this because this isn't when it came out. Dead Space was like the focus of an absolutely intense effort by EA to cross-media platform the game into every possible fucking format conceivable. There's an animated film. There is a series of motion comics. And those motion comics were actually fairly decent. There's books.
Yeah, no, the whole Church of Unitology bit going on is like, that's, you got lots to do when you introduce a space cult, right? Proper space Scientology, barely veiled, is rife with asshole scientists that are like, but hold on though, don't save them yet. Let's get some data. I can see that going pretty far.
I fucking love Unitology as the space cult in that game. It's like it's all these great moments of like, we're all gonna it's gonna be great, we're gonna be a rapture, and then they look over at their friends being like vored into a thing monster, and they're like,
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, much like Doom, it's like, it's not enough that, like, if it was just like humanity's in space and then the monsters came, it'd be like, oh shit, that sucks. Okay, let's fight them. But then it's like humanity's in space and then the monsters came and then a bunch of fucking freaks were like, yes, cleanse us. Let us cut a deal with you. We want to be the leaders of this new hell. Like, that is when you go, oh god damn it, I hate everybody now, because Like it brings out the worst in people while the actual monsters are in the middle of murdering people. You hate the
Yeah,
person
and
who sold you out more.
the one thing that going through the motion comics does a really good job of is that it's a 6 comic series that deals with the point where they find the marker up until the point where Isaac goes up. And it just delves really deep into how just having the marker around starts to make people go super nuts
Mm,
and like kill themselves or have violent freakouts.
mm, mm. Yeah, they did introduce. I mean, I'd have to go back to remember the full details, but I do remember that like Extraction and the comic inside of it introduced a lot of that backstory right off the bat. Uh,
Mhm.
that being said, gameplay is also like again, it wastes no time, and then it's also just like, yeah, here's your map, fucking, here's your Metroidvania like room. Go to this dot, click the button. There's a
Yeah,
line that tells you which direction it's in. You know,
there's a
which
lot
is
of cool stuff in that
perfect for
game.
fucking LP dumb.
Uh, in particular, there's like a couple rooms in the game that are just violently oppressive, but don't have any danger. They're just audio visually like attacking you
Mm,
in terms
mm,
of like high grade scary like stress stinger noise.
mm.
And there's they have the 0G, which is actually like still probably the best 0G mechanics. uh
No, I'm gonna see
oh, I'm
that.
thinking it too. I'm sorry, I'm thinking it too.
Okay. Well, I'll see what you're saying, and I'm gonna raise you, fucking Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare,
Yeah.
um, the space one.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Who do you think worked on that?
Oh, is that where it went? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That space like 0G gunfighting in that COD game is fucking amazing. I
Yeah,
like it was
that
one of the coolest
that's the
goddamn things ever.
that's the Dead Space guys going over to Activision and being folded into Sledgehammer Games to help with Call of Duty.
Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, space sniping and zipping up to rocks for cover and then boosting
There's
and it's really fun.
Yeah, the game is definitely a lot more interesting than its pedigree suggests. I'm thinking back as a survival horror game. There's a couple interesting tricks that they pull in that game that I think are unique to that game. Like completely unique to it,
Hmm.
which is fascinating.
In 2 or in 1?
In one.
In 1. Okay.
There's at least one scare attempt that I believe it's the only game I have ever played that has tried to scare you in this manner.
I do remember. So this I do recall because of again the other things that have been talked about over the years. I remember the discussion, and yes, I am fully aware that I am not going to unpucker at every save room. I remember I was told
Yeah,
about
okay.
this. Reggie doesn't know how.
I must have told you about that like 10
A million years ago. Yep, and I remember.
Yeah, no, there's
because I'm
an
like
upgrade
that. It was
table
such
that
a betrayal
spawns
of
a goddamn
trust.
enemy. The instant you touch the table, an enemy spawns behind you and attacks you as you're coming out of animation.
The betrayal of trust on that, when you told me that, was so egregious. I remember to this day that somewhere that happens. But again, Reggie doesn't know, so we'll that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's mean, right? That's against the implied rules
Geneva
of the way
Conventions.
a game works.
Like, how dare
Yeah.
you? Yeah. Tried at the fucking Hague for that shit.